told you that the biggest, financial winner in the current artificial intelligence revolution isn't actually building AI at all?
Right.
I mean, what if the company about to go public at a staggering $2 trillion valuation is getting there just by renting out computers to its biggest rivals?
It completely flips the script on how we usually think about the tech industry. I mean, we always assume the winner is the one with the smartest software.
We really do. And welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a massive stack of insights from Aaron Rose's The Tech Reader AI Digest for Monday, June 8th, 2026.
Yeah, there is a lot to get through today.
There really is. And the mission for this deep dive is to look past the flashy product announcements,
Right.
the smartest chatbots, the fastest video generators, and understand the massive tectonic shifts happening in the absolute foundation of the tech world right now.
Exactly. Because it's easy to get distracted by the shiny new things.
Right. Because the secret hidden in today's digest is that while everyone was focused on who was building the fastest race car, a few massive players quietly bought up all the roads, the toll booths, and the gas stations.
That framing is essential for what we're about to discuss today. I mean, the common thread tying together all the massive news in this digest, from Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference to a historic SpaceX initial public offering, is a massive industry pivot.
Yeah.
We are officially transitioning out of the era of, building models at all costs, and we're entering the era of controlling distribution, managing physical infrastructure, and actually integrating AI into the real world.
Okay, let's unpack this by starting with the biggest consumer stage in the world, which is Apple's WWDC 26. This was a hugely significant event, not just for the tech, but because this was Tim Cook's final WWDC keynote before his September retirement.
Oh, absolutely. A profoundly emotional moment for the industry.
It really was. He actually he wiped a tear at the end of the presentation.
I saw that, yeah.
And notably, the incoming CEO, John Ternus, didn't even present during the main keynote. So Cook took this final bow to introduce a completely rebuilt Siri. We're talking system-wide awareness of your personal context and whatever's happening on your screen.
Right, the contextual awareness is a big leap.
Huge. And they showed off automated tab organization in Safari and this wild spatial reframing photography tool. But behind all those shiny consumer features is a massive partnership with Google.
And what's fascinating here is that the structure of that partnership reveals Apple's entire macro strategy.
Right.
I mean, Apple is leveraging Google's infrastructure for an estimated $1 billion a year. They are using that to power what they call Apple Foundation Models, or AFM, Cloud Pro.
Wow.
So when your iPhone has a really demanding task, it routes it to NVIDIA clusters sitting inside Google Cloud. Apple has effectively bowed out of the capital-intensive race to build the ultimate frontier model themselves. They aren't trying to build the smartest brain anymore.
Okay, let's unpack this. So instead of trying to be the best chef in the world, Apple decided to just own the only restaurant in town and make all the other master chefs rent the kitchen.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
They realized that owning the base model weights in the REMs. The actual underlying mathematical parameters that make an AI smart is becoming a commodity.
Right. Everyone has a smart AI now.
Exactly. What is far more valuable is controlling the orchestration layer. That layer is the software that decides how and when the user interacts with that brain.
But hold on, I really have to challenge this premise because Apple's entire brand identity is built on the walled garden.
Sure.
They are notorious for keeping everything locked down, proprietary, and obsessively focused on local privacy. If I ask Siri to analyze a highly personal email and Apple is shipping that data off to Google's clusters or Anthropic, doesn't that just shatter their core privacy promise? Like, why open the doors now?
And that is the exact tension industry analysts have been debating. But Apple solved this through a new system they introduced called extensions. It's a truly brilliant architectural pivot. The extension system allows users to natively route complex requests to third-party models right from the operating system. But Apple's software acts as an anonymizing proxy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so Apple strips the identifiable user data, bundles the request, and sends it to Anthropic's Claude, or OpenAI's ChatGPT, or Google's Gemini.
Right.
The third-party AI does the heavy lifting, sends the answer back to Apple, and then Apple delivers it to you.
So it's acting like a hyper-secure universal translator.
Exactly.
Apple realizes they don't need to win the AI war if they own the battlefield. By turning the iPhone into a neutral, privacy-shielded delivery infrastructure, they become the ultimate gatekeeper.
Yeah, and the digest notes that Tim Cook's most durable legacy might not actually be the hardware he introduced, but the day he decided Apple should stop trying to build the frontier and just host the competition instead.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The way you interact with AI is fundamentally changing. You aren't going to have to pledge allegiance to a single AI ecosystem anymore.
Right. No more walled gardens in that sense.
You won't be a chat GPT person or a Claude person. Your phone is going to act as a smart router. You ask it to do something, and behind the scenes, Apple's software acts like a traffic cop, picking the best, most efficient AI brain for that specific job. Apple just becomes the commodity toll booth.
But toll booths only work if there are cars on the road.
True.
Which means someone still has to physically power those massive competing brains that Apple is routing queries to.
Which brings us to the raw metal, the infrastructure war. Because Apple might own the front door, but routing billions of queries a day requires an absolute ocean of compute power.
It really does.
And looking at the SEC filings in today's digest, it's very clear who owns that ocean. The numbers here are just, they're jaw-dropping.
We were talking about capital flow on a scale that is genuinely hard to comprehend, even for seasoned tech analysts.
Seriously. Let me lay out the news here. Google is paying SpaceX $920 million per month to access 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs.
Just staggering.
And they are using this as bridge capacity to run their Gemini Enterprise models while they scramble to build their own data centers. But it gets crazier.
It does.
Anthropic is paying $1.25 billion per month to lease the entire operational output of xAI's Colossus One data center.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, if we look at the annualized revenue, those two contracts alone represent over $26 billion flowing directly into SpaceX's balance sheet every single year.
That's insane.
Just for renting out computer servers.
Yeah.
And there is a profound irony here. Colossus One was originally built by xAI to train Elon Musk's own Grok models.
Wait, okay, this is the part that genuinely confuses me. Isn't Musk essentially arming his own enemies here?
Whoa.
Because Grok competes directly with Anthropic and Gemini. Why are Google and Anthropic giving their biggest rival billions of dollars in cash? And why is Musk letting them use his hardware?
Because the cost of training and running these massive frontier models escalated so rapidly that physically building the data centers, securing the land, the power grid connections, the cooling systems that became the actual bottleneck.
I see.
Musk recognized a shift in the market. The physical infrastructure was becoming substantially more valuable and predictably profitable than the software models themselves.
Wow.
He transformed the largest private GPU cluster in existence into a rental property. He might have lost the immediate model velocity war to companies like Anthropic, but he won the physical infrastructure war.
And that perfectly explains the timing of the SpaceX IPO. According to the Digest, they are pricing this initial public offering on Thursday, June 11, under the ticker SPCX.
Right.
It's a fixed price of $135 a share, targeting a valuation between $1.75 and $2 trillion.
It is the largest IPO in corporate history.
Yeah.
And it is largely being floated on the sheer strength of its competitors' compute bills. SpaceX is entering the public markets not as an underdog AI lab, but as the industry's primary landlord.
But we have to dig into why these AI labs are forced to pay SpaceX these outrageous rent prices.
Yeah, we do.
Because there's a crucial piece of context in the digest from a group called Radical Data Science. They put out a report claiming that these frontier AI labs are absorbing up to $1,000 in compute costs for every $100 they generate in developer subscription revenue.
That ratio is completely unsustainable for a normal software business.
Right.
It means they are heavily subsidizing the cost of the AI just to capture market share.
But why does it cost so much? Like, if I paid $20 a month for an AI subscription, how on earth am I burning through $1,000 of electricity and server time?
It comes down to the shift from basic chatbots to what the industry calls agentic tasks.
Okay.
Think of a standard chatbot like a short order cook.
Right.
You ask for a pancake, it makes a single pancake. It generates a few hundred words, which is cheap. An agent is more like a head chef catering a massive wedding.
That's a great analogy.
Right. You give it a high-level goal, like research these 5 companies, analyze their financial statements, and write a comparative report.
So the AI has to do a lot more invisible thinking in the background.
Exactly. To accomplish that, the AI model has to operate in recursive loops. It reads a 50-page PDF, which fills up its memory, its context window.
Right.
Then writes a plan, executes a web search, reads the results, realizes it made a mistake, self-corrects, and tries again. Every single one of those internal steps generates thousands of invisible thought tokens that you never even see on the screen.
Oh, wow.
And every single token requires massive clusters of GPUs firing simultaneously.
So the AI companies are just bleeding cash to run these multi-file autonomous loops, and SpaceX is just standing there with a giant net catching all that cash. It's a ruthless, highly effective capital reallocation.
Which forces us to ask, if these models are this expensive to run and they're bleeding this much cash, where are they actually being deployed to justify the investment?
Right. Which brings us to our next major theme. Because it's not just about writing emails or summarizing web pages anymore. These heavily subsidized models are moving into the physical framework of society itself.
Yes, they are.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Hitachi, the massive industrial conglomerate, just joined Project Glasswing. This is an Anthropic-led consortium, and Hitachi is getting direct access to the Claude Mythos preview model.
Okay.
Their goal is to use this AI to harden the digital defenses of global energy and power grids.
And we really need to distinguish here between IT and OT. Traditional IT is information technology. Now, if that gets hacked, maybe a company loses some customer data or emails.
Sad but manageable.
Exactly. But Hitachi is focused on OT operational technology. In the OT world, a digital failure means a physical consequence. A turbine spins out of control. A water valve opens when it shouldn't. A power grid goes dark.
We always think of AI as something contained inside a browser window, but this is AI jumping out of the screen and into the literal breaker box of a Japanese energy grid.
And Aaron Rose makes a vital point in the digest. This sets a precedent for G7 nations.
How so?
Well, Project Glasswing was initially just a defensive software alliance. Now it is evolving into the standard governance operating system for heavy industry. It is being trusted to protect critical infrastructure from highly sophisticated foreign threat vectors.
Wow.
When you embed an autonomous AI into a national power grid, the margin for error effectively becomes zero.
And just looking at this from a strictly operational standpoint, putting any politics aside and focusing purely on the facts reported in the digest, there's another major indicator of this shift.
Right.
The Pentagon has officially confirmed they are actively testing OpenAI models with insecure networks. They are evaluating it as an alternative framework for specific classified deployments. Now, regardless of where anyone stands on the military use of AI, looking at Hitachi and the Pentagon in the same week proves that AI has crossed a massive threshold.
It absolutely does.
We're simply reporting on the digest here, but it is actively moving into the most secure, high-stakes physical deployments imaginable.
The narrative has fundamentally shifted from, can this AI pass the bar exam, to can this AI secure a national power grid against a cyber attack?
Right, completely different level.
It's a completely different paradigm of trust, utility, and consequence. But while titans like Hitachi and the Pentagon are deploying these massive frontier models from the top down, we really have to look at what's happening from the bottom up.
Okay, yeah.
Because the day-to-day developer ecosystem beneath these giants is rapidly fragmenting.
Let's trace this fragmentation, because the digest lays out a landscape that is just exploding with activity right now.
Oh, it's wild.
I'm just going to rapid fire some of this news. OpenAI's GPT 4.5 is officially retiring on June 27. Both OpenAI and Anthropic have confidential S1 documents filed with the SEC, preparing to go public, with Anthropic sitting at a $47 billion run rate.
And interestingly, prediction markets give Anthropic an 82.5% odds to list publicly before OpenAI.
Which is fascinating. And over in the enterprise space, Microsoft's Foundry platform now has 11,000 different models available for developers, including native integration with Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.8, pulling data directly from daily tools like Canva and Notion.
Right.
Meta is privately testing their Muse Spark API, and there's a pending $20 billion cross-border merger between Cohere and Aleph Alpha.
It is a dizzying amount of corporate maneuvering, but the undercurrent is a massive proliferation of choice for the developer.
But this brings up a massive contradiction, doesn't it? With 11,000 models available on Microsoft alone, and we just established that running these frontier models is so wildly expensive that even the creators are losing $1,000 for every 100 they make. Aren't everyday developers just getting completely priced out of the AI revolution?
This is a fair question.
I mean, if you don't have $1 billion to pay SpaceX for server rent, how can you possibly build an AI application?
That is the most critical question for the future of software. But the digest highlights two massive countertrends that prove developers aren't getting priced out at all. The first is the absolute dominance of global open weights models.
Okay, let's define that really clearly for everyone. What makes a model open weights compared to what OpenAI or Anthropic is doing?
Sure, think of OpenAI's ChatGPT as a five-star restaurant. You can pay to eat the food, but you are never allowed into the kitchen and you certainly can't see the recipe.
Right, it's totally locked down.
It's a proprietary black box. An open weights model means the creators have published the recipe, the actual mathematical weights and parameters of the AI. You can download the entire brain to your own computer for free, modify it, and run it yourself without paying a tech giant a subscription fee.
And the digest notes that Chinese open weights models, specifically DeepSeek and Alibaba Qwen, now hold a 61% share of total global developer API traffic on a platform called OpenRouter. Developers are flocking to these highly capable free recipes.
Yes, they are.
But that brings up the second hurdle. Even if I download the recipe for free, doesn't it still require a supercomputer to actually cook the meal?
It used to. But that brings us to the second counter trend. Local AI optimization is becoming incredibly efficient.
Okay.
The digest highlights a tool called LM Studio, which just released version 1.8.5. It is heavily optimized for Apple silicon chips, and it uses a technique called disk-backed KV cache checkpointing.
Okay, wait. We definitely need to translate disk-backed KV cache checkpointing into plain English.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Let's use the chef metaphor again. Imagine a chef who has to make a complex soup. Every time someone asks for a bowl, the chef goes to the fridge, gets a whole onion, chops it, uses a handful, and throws the rest away.
Sounds incredibly wasteful.
It is. But the next bowl, they start all over with a new onion. That's how AI normally processes a conversation. Every time you ask a follow-up question, it recalculates the entire history of the conversation from scratch. It uses a massive amount of active memory, or RAM.
Which is exactly why my laptop fan sounds like a jet engine when I try to run a local AI.
Precisely. Yeah. Now, KV cache checkpointing is like the chef pre-chopping all the onions and vegetables in the morning and putting them in little containers on the counter. The AI saves the mathematical context of the conversation.
Okay, that makes sense.
And disk-backed means instead of keeping those containers taking up space on the valuable kitchen counter, which is your computer's RAM, it stores them in the pantry, which is your computer's hard drive.
So it's swapping data back and forth to the hard drive so the active memory doesn't just completely overload.
Yes, and the result is staggering. This technique dropped the active memory overhead needed to run a model by up to 80%.
Wow, 80%.
Suddenly, you can run highly capable, complex AI directly on a standard off-the-shelf laptop without it crashing. Combine that with Llama version 3.0, which just released an update giving massive speed boost to NVIDIA and AMD chips, the barrier to entry is completely collapsed.
So what does this all mean when we put the pieces together? It means the narrative that you have to rely on giant tech monopolies to participate in the AI economy is fracturing. While Google and Anthropic are fighting over trillion-dollar server farms to build models smart enough to run the electrical grid, everyday developers are downloading open weights recipes. They are using hyper-efficient local tools like LM Studio to build their own custom applications cheaply and efficiently, right on their kitchen tables.
We are witnessing a radical bifurcation of the market.
Yeah.
The top end is becoming heavy industry, massive, highly regulated, wildly expensive systems, deeply embedded in national infrastructure. The bottom end is becoming lightweight, agile, nearly free systems running on individual consumer hardware.
It really is a massive scope to wrap your head around for just one single digest in June. I mean, we are looking at a world where Apple has installed the toll booth at the front door.
Right.
SpaceX has become the landlord and the power plant for the entire industry. Hitachi is wiring AI directly into the breaker boxes of the power grid. And meanwhile, independent developers are running lean, highly efficient models without paying a dime to the tech giants.
It's a vibrant ecosystem, but it also reveals a structural vulnerability. Well, we've established today that the real power and the real leverage isn't necessarily in making the smartest AI anymore. The leverage lies in controlling the infrastructure that the AI relies on to survive.
Right, owning the roads and the gas stations instead of the race cars.
Exactly. So I want to leave you with this thought to mull over as you watch this industry evolve. We have Apple permanently controlling the front door to the user. We have SpaceX securely controlling the physical servers, keeping these massive models alive.
Okay.
What happens to the AI companies? the ones actually building the intelligence who are permanently caught in the middle of that sandwich, what happens to their multi-billion-dollar business models if those two gatekeepers ever decide to change the rules of the road?
Man, that is a fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying thought. Because no matter how fast your race car is, it doesn't matter if you can't afford the gas or if the guy who owns the road suddenly decides to close the gate. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the foundations of our new tech reality. Keep exploring, keep questioning the infrastructure around you, and stay curious.